All right, what's up with the Child Mob? It's your boy Nella. We're back to another TBG feature, and today we're breaking down Crosshairs from the new Bad Batch series that's about to launch. And coming off of that, of the heels of that Hunter review that we just did, can Crosshairs live up to the same standard that that figure set? We're gonna find out. But before I jump into that, I did want to address some rumors from the rumor mill. Basically, right now it's going around that Crosshairs from the Bad Batch will most likely be turning evil. There is a picture actually of what looks like a elite trooper commander, and it looks suspiciously like Crosshairs. Now, while I can neither confirm nor deny that, I will say there is an uncanny resemblance. But that's so cool, specifically because I love lore and I love being able to add lore to my figures. It makes them more important, it makes me understand really who they are and what they are. And so for me, whether or not it's confirmed or not, just that level of what could happen, what is really going to happen with the story, really brings the want for the figure that much more higher. So let me go ahead and break it down for you, and let's go ahead and see if, regardless of story, is this something that we should be adding to our collection. All right, let's get All right, you guys, so this episode is sponsored to you by Load Up Freight Management. We find the loads that pay what you want going where you want. Now listen, if you've been paying attention to the trucking industry, you'll know it's a billion-dollar industry. And currently right now, there's a really huge backup of work, which is the reason why we're not even seeing a lot of these guys in stores right now. So please link up with my guys at Load Up so that we can go ahead and start getting all this moving again. And we can go ahead and start finding some cool ass action figures on the streets again at our local Targets, Walmarts, and comic book shops. Load Up Freight Management. Go ahead and check in the description below for the website and link up with my guys. Alright guys, so while Crosshair's loyalty from the show is currently in question, and we don't know how that's going to turn out, what's not in question is how badass this figure looks. Now, if you thought Hunter was good, this one's just a whole nother level. And to be honest, I think a big part of it just comes from the extra that you see on him, basically the bandolier, the holster, but also just that dope ass helmet. God damn, I don't know if maybe I've just never seen this helmet before, or maybe it just looks extra unique for me, but this is a nice, overall, really nice looking helmet piece that really just sets it all off. For me, I think that this is so far my favorite guy. Honestly, I think it's going to end up being Wrecker, who for me is going to end up being the best one. But at least for right now, Crosshairs takes the cake as the baddest looking of the Bad Batch. All right, so let me go ahead and give you guys a full 360 of the figure. Alright you guys, so at the very top we do have his antenna, and it does swivel. We do get the grays that we've seen before, even though he seems to have a little bit more of a metallic shine, at least in the helmet area. Almost more of a glass-like effect. I don't know if you guys can see it as well as I can, but it does look really nice overall. Red line down the bottom, the black visor all throughout, and it's got a really nice overall shape to it in terms of the grooves in the helmet themselves. So it's really nice. We do get this sort of edging right there, the indentation that goes and then follows down his eye, which does follow some of what his actual eye looks like under, and we'll get there in a second. And then we get the black lines basically coming down what would be the nose and mouth. We get the silvers inside the breathing apparatus, which is really nice. We get more of that same gray body paint with scratches all over it. Remember, these guys have been in battle. These guys are going to be battle damaged, and it's nice to see that. We do see some black here at the bottom with a slightly different gray color in the actual lower belly section. We do get browns in the bandolier, which is nice. Some reds to go with it, with the whole Bad Batch motif. And then the actual shells that are right here are also colored. They do look very nice. We get down to the belt itself, and it has that Beskar look. Very nice touch. And of course, the holster that goes down and holds the side piece. Very nice looking overall. We do get some paint on both shoulders, red and red, and then the actual piece that sticks out on the left shoulder right here does look a little bit different in terms of the red. It might be the plastic that they use, but I do like it. It gives it that extra level of definition and does look really smooth, and again gives them that extra level of just that layered look. And then again, of course, more scratches on both shoulder pads. We come down to the arms, the same kind of grooved black undersuit that they wear, and for the most part it does look really nice. Now from the side you can tell a little bit more that the gray at the top is different from the darker charcoal gray that we get around, I guess you would say, just the bottom part of the helmet. And I think it's a very nice touch. It gives it that extra layer of definition to it and doesn't make it just all one color, and it does make them look pretty badass. Again, the shoulder does have those reds, the blacks. Looks like I got maybe a little bit of overspray on the red right there, but not a big deal. We could say that that's some paint transfer from battle. That's fine with me. And then the backpack is very similar to the one that we got with Hunter. It's done very nicely, has a whole bunch of detail to it, grooves, edges, some geometry to it. And that's very nice. They didn't really have to do that. They could have made it more blocky and maybe more pixely looking, but no, they gave it some definition, and it definitely makes it look more realistic to what we would see in real life. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail because this is going to be part of the accessories, but again, more of the same color scheme. This looks a little bit more metallic, but we do get a little bit of red right there, which is pretty nice. And then the back of the head still has some definition right there at the bottom, more grooving, which is a really cool look to it overall. This side has more of a solid red color, which is pretty cool. More scratches on the pauldron, of course, because he's battle damaged. And as you can see, the brown right there of the bandolier that he's wearing, the black from the Under Armour suit, and then the nice black and reds in the gauntlet piece. I do want to make sure that I can get more of that detail in there for you guys. So as you can tell, he does have that really nice white skull on his shoulder pad, on his pauldron. Apparently there's a variant or a running change where the skull is bigger. I'm not quite sure which one's supposed to be more accurate to the show, but I'm going to imagine that the bigger one is most likely the one that goes with it. So I did get a smaller skull, but to me that's fine. It still looks good. It's got a really nice kind of faded look to it overall. The numbers are, a little scratched up. Again, these guys have been to war, and it's obvious that they have been. And then if we move down to the, again, the gauntlet, as I was mentioning earlier, it looks good overall. I believe these are reuses of Hunters, which I have no problem with. It's a good look overall. Black on the, red in the centerpiece, black surrounding it, and the grays from the rest of the armor. Looks very cohesive. It's a very nice look. And then just in case I forgot to miss it, on the left pauldron with the wing on it, he does have 0101, or maybe that's 10. I actually am not quite sure which one it is because I believe they're Clone Force 99, so I'm not sure what the 0101 stands for. But it looks good. I don't care. We'll have to find that out when the show airs later on. Now to continue moving down, we do see the other pauldron looks really nice too, and this one is definitely a reuse of the Hunter, because while the Hunter has the sheath that goes into the arm, he doesn't have a blade. Crosshair doesn't have a blade, so we just see the hole that would have been the sheath for the sword that Hunter comes with, which, I wish they could have maybe plugged it or something, but that's fine. I understand that there's certain places where they need to save some money. This is probably one of those pieces, and that's fine with me. It looks good, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see this exact same arm on all the other regular sized Bad Batch members. Now that glued shot looks perfectly fine. We do see some scratches on it. That's cool. More of a close-up of that brown for the bandolier belt, and it looks perfectly fine. I think it looks good. And then, of course, the undersuit with the black grooves looks just the same as we've seen before. Very nicely done. For the rear of the legs, there is some geometry in there on the hamstring portion and on the calf section. That is nice. It's a nice touch. They could have left that all one piece, but giving it those grooves and giving it that definition definitely ups the way the figure looks and how nice it is. And again, more scratches all throughout for battle damage. Really nice. Now, I can't tell, but it might look like I have some nubs on the back of my feet. So I might have to custom that out because it's not a very clean look. Right there, you see that? Yeah, I'll have to find a way to fix that, but it's okay. For the most part, everything on this figure is pretty high quality. Now, when we move to the front, let me move this out of the way. From the crotch piece down, everything looks perfectly fine, really nice. We do see that darker charcoal gray on the inner thigh with the lighter gray on the outside. I love that. I love this color scheme. It's not all black, which is nice. It's got these gray colors and this red, and I think it does a really good job of standing out really nicely. And then, of course, we have the knee pads, the red going down the middle of both shins, surrounded this time by the lighter gray, while the outer calves are black, which is different from the forearms, which is really nice. And of course the feet are very standard, have a bunch of lines to it, a lot of geometry, perfectly fine figure. Now, when it comes to the face, Crosshairs is so badass, just as badass as Hunter. I'm not quite sure if these guys tattoo their faces or what the deal is, but he basically, Crosshairs is a sniper of the team because he has really good vision, which allows him to see at higher distances, locate other things, basically like eagle vision. And he put this crosshair over his eye. I imagine that's the one he uses to really shoot, though both eyes are probably incredible, but for the most part, this is a really nice looking sculpt. I like how different he looks from Hunter, right? Not just the gray hair, but just the overall shape of the face. It's obviously a different character. They're not clones. This is a bespoke character. While he might share some pieces with Hunter, the aesthetic, the helmet, the actual head that's under makes this a unique piece, and this looks really dope. I really like the overall shape. The hair was done really nicely. The face looks pretty realistic. The head shape, not bad at all. He has a sort of regal, almost Roman look to him, and I think that really looks dope. I might have called the other one Sylvester Stallone, but I don't really know what to call this guy. If you guys can think of an actor that this reminds you of, let me know in the comments below. Now, in terms of accessories, Crosshairs does come with some pretty badass stuff. Obviously, the helmet that we already showed you, and the antenna that does do the swivel forward and back, which is really nice. We've seen this on some of the Mandalorians, so it's cool to see this on a non-Mandalorian figure. And yeah, I like the overall shape. It fits his head fairly nicely, and if anything, this one's a little looser than the Hunter helmet. And then we do have this beautiful sniper rifle that he holds really nice. This is a really long piece, so let me see if I can just show you from middle to end. So this is basically all one color, but there are a fair amount of grooves and other such geometrical shapes on there that do make it look really nice. Instead of just looking like a big piece of, grayish plastic, it does have a pearl to it, which is really nice. So it's done very well, and he holds it perfectly fine. And I'm going to show you guys something else. Let me show you guys the backpack real quick. So the backpack itself is, again, a really nice piece overall. And as you can tell, even though it looks a lot like Hunter's, it is different and has this big groove in it. So let me go ahead and show you what that groove is for. You can holster his fucking sniper rifle in there. That is so dope, man. That looks great, and I'll show you guys later in some of the poses with this on his actual back. But the fact that you can do that, the fact that you can stow away his rifle, again, I don't quite remember seeing that in the show. Maybe I just haven't seen all the episodes. Oh, excuse me. But for the most part, that's so dope. I didn't know he could do that until I bought the figure, and once I saw that, I was like, that's sick. That's pretty sick. And then here he comes with a blaster as well, and the blaster is the exact same one that we've seen before, I think, on the ARC Troopers, but also on the Hunter before this. And unlike Hunter, who doesn't have somewhere to put it, Crosshairs is able to hold all his weapons on him, not even in his hands, but just on him. And that's something that I kind of wish Hunter had. I wish Hunter could stow away one of the guns. But if you take a look right here, this has a little hole right there, but Hunter's doesn't. And I kind of wish Hunter's would have came with that little hole right there so that you can put maybe one of the blasters on there and maybe the other one holding it on his hand. But I have to stow away one of the blasters when I don't have it in Hunter's hands. Not a problem here with the Crosshair. So kudos to doing this Crosshairs the right way. All right, and when it comes to articulation, our Crosshairs character is going to have a lot of the same stuff that the Hunter had, and we'll see if there's any real changes. But to be honest, this is basically a repeat in terms of articulation. So let's go ahead and start from the top. So when it comes to the head, he can look up pretty far up, actually. I'm wondering if I can get him into a prone position for the sniping. As you can tell, he's basically looking straight up into the sky, so that's phenomenal. And then he can tuck his chin in and basically look directly at the ground. So again, phenomenal. The shoulder pauldrons, just like Hunter's, connect at the top, which allow him to get really nice range. Let's see if he goes just as high. Yep, he can basically reach to the sky without needing to swivel the arm and point it up, which is phenomenal. Now here is one difference between him and Hunter. Because of that extra piece that we do get on top of the left shoulder pad, you actually don't go all the way up. So let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit. So as you can tell, the right arm goes all the way up. It has absolutely no problem, but we do reach that little snag unless you want to force it, which I sure as hell I'm not going to, but that's about as high as you can get it, which is still, I would say, about above 90 degrees. So again, it's phenomenal for what you are getting here. Now, on top of that, the pauldrons are not a static piece, so they do move with the arm, and you can do a full 360 just like Hunter. And then you do have single jointed elbows, which do give you noticeably past 90, which is nice. Again, I really appreciate that they're not doing too much here. And in fact, I might not have mentioned this before, but you don't see the pins in the arms or the elbows, or even down at the legs. So it's a clean look, and you get past 90 degrees, which is great. And then when it does come to the hand, we do get that pistol grip on the right hand, which is really nice. It goes up and down about that far. Looks good. And then with the other arm, we do get the same articulation as Hunter with the more push-up hinge that only goes about straight and then can curl in about that far. So pretty good overall. When it comes to the torso, you don't really get anything at the bottom, but you do get some at the top. So he can look forward pretty damn far, just as far as Hunter would, and pretty far back. He's breaking his back on that. And then he can swivel pretty far to the side, basically to the belt. Same thing to the other side. So diaphragm joint is done very nicely on these. Now for the hips, we do get the same deal that we got with Hunter. Basically for Crosshairs, it's the exact same thing, though I seem to be getting a little bit more stressing at the very corners of the top of the armor, but you can basically bring the leg up and pull it to the side. If you want to get it all the way up to a kick, or if you want it to look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, you can push it just right under the armor, and then it comes up nice and flush. It just basically tucks in, and he can come up to, 90 degrees, which again is a really nice pose. And then if we split him, he does, about the same as the Hunter figure. So he's got a good splits pose. Not that he'll probably ever use that, but it is nice to see that he can go that far. As for the legs, we do get single joint, but again, pegless design, and he does go up about 90 degrees. And again, just like Katan, bitch. Nah, I'm just kidding. He can, swivel side to side, which again gives him a nice range of movement. And then the knee is a static piece. So something that I mentioned to somebody in one of the groups that I'm in is that I think it would be a good idea if Hasbro maybe did with the knee pads what they've done with the shoulder pads, where they kind of sink in and can move around with the knees, so that when I do put him in a kneeling pose, I can kind of shift the knee up and down to make it look more natural. Now, when it comes to the feet, I did not realize this until I was playing with Crosshairs, and it is confirmed that Hunter has this too, but they actually do have a swivel joint. I totally messed up. I didn't know I messed up, but yeah, he has a posable rocker joint. So he does kick down. Now it's kind of stiff. Pretty far, that is pretty good. And it does come up just enough to give it some personality, but it also swivels. It's not as far as some other ones, but it's still pretty good for a fully armored character from head to toe, and that is enough that you'll be able to get him into most of the poses that you'll want to put him in. So when it comes to Crosshairs, he is one badass looking figure. I mean, look at that face. He gives Hunter a run for his money. And with basically the standard that this is now set for the Star Wars Black Series, this is going to be very hard to beat by any standard and any metric. These are dope figures, and they come with everything that we can now expect. Good articulation, good engineering, phenomenal design, bespoke styling, and again, a unique character that you're not going to need to buy more than one of these. You can if you want, of course, but the fact that this is a one-of-a-kind figure is just something that really speaks out to me. The many looks that you can pull with this character is just very, very versatile. It's going to be the same thing for all the Bad Batch characters as we do get them. They are going to look really nice. They're going to have good shelf presence, and they're going to be worth more than the money that you're going to pay for it, assuming you can get it at sticker price. And you know what? If you have to get a third party, this is definitely worth a few extra dollars, man. You get a lot. This is something that can look good with even SH Figure Arts, Star Wars stuff. And these are just, $20-ish figures compared to $60-ish figures. And yeah, that's not to say they're perfect. That's not to say that an SH Figure Arts version wouldn't be even better than this. But this holds its own against most figures at the $20 range. I think for the money, this is some of the best bang for the buck that you're going to get. Honestly, this figure hits most of all the same great points of Hunter, and I think brings it up a whole notch. Crosshairs comes with some extra goodies, such as places to be able to store all the weapons, the bandolier itself, the extra piece that goes on the pauldron. He's basically one more step up. And then after this, we do get a Wrecker, which might be one more step up above both of these. And then we do have Echo coming in with some stuff later. And then hopefully, we have Tech coming in first with some extra stuff. And hopefully we'll see a release of Echo soon after that so we can complete the team. But for a starting of both of the main characters, right? The Commando and then the Sniper, or the Assault and the Sniper. These are two that you just need to get, man. You will not regret paying any kind of money south of like $35, but you will enjoy this figure in hand, and this gets me really excited for the Bad Batch series that's coming up. Now, of course, what is a review without some nice size comparisons? So let's go ahead and put a couple things in here and see how Crosshair sizes up. So Krivo the Bounty Hunter is a big dude, so of course he dwarfs Crosshairs a lot. Maybe next to Wrecker it'll look a bit more the same, but because he's robotic and because androids I'm sure exist in Star Wars, this could be a really cool diorama to put together. And Krivo isn't that much larger that this couldn't be realistic in Star Wars. So for me, this is a really nice overall comparison that I really like for myself, to be honest. Next, we do have the McFarlane Battle Sister from the Warhammer 40k, and I personally really like that figure. And in real life, I do believe, or should I say in real lore, I do believe that the Battle Sisters are supposed to be a little bit bigger than an average human, so I don't know if this would necessarily be it, though this could actually be anatomically correct. And again, this fits the motif of, like a futuristic, fully armorized character. So this could even look good too. This could look actually pretty badass. And again, this is something I like. And I didn't think I would like the Battle Sisters so much because this is from McFarlane, but I really like it. And I might be bringing you guys a review on this one. I might not be returning it. But again, I think these size up fairly well. Now, from the same line, we do get the Cara Dune, and she is obviously smaller. Now, you'll see in a moment when I do put Crosshairs right next to Hunter that he is just the slightest bit bigger. I'm not quite sure if that's supposed to be accurate, though I wouldn't be surprised. But in terms of Cara Dune, this does look about right. I'm not quite sure how tall they are in inches and how tall Cara Dune is in inches. I do remember that she is actually smaller than our Mandalorian, so I can only imagine that, a Jango Fett clone would be also taller than her. But this does look really nice, and I cannot wait to take more photos with both of these guys in it. Even though they never actually meet, it's still a dope look overall. And I actually shouldn't say they don't meet. We don't know what's going to happen yet. If they had Fennec Fox or Fennec Shand, then there's an opportunity for something like this to happen in the future, but we will see. And now here we have the G.I. Joe Flint, and as you can tell, they are identical in height, though they're not identical in body proportions, but this would still look perfectly fine. This would serve the purpose of looking like these guys could definitely be physically right next to each other. And it's overall a pretty badass look. I'm sure in a diorama, if you had like a Star Wars versus G.I. Joe thing, which by the way I've seen before and it looks badass, this could totally work. I could totally see this working perfectly fine. They're to scale. G.I. Joe does run the slightest bit bigger overall, so that's not to say that they're 100% to scale, but in terms of for what you're going to be doing it for, this will work fine, no issue. Now here we have Zartan, also in the G.I. Joe line, and as you can tell, body-wise, just a lot more buffer, a lot more bigger. He's definitely slightly larger than Flint, but height-wise, about the same. Again, this would look totally fine in your diorama altogether. These all scale fairly well, but again, Zartan does look pretty beefy. He's a beefy boy. And of course, we had to do the comparison. Here he is next to Hunter, so Crosshairs on the left, Hunter on the right, and I'm sure you can tell just by looking at it that yeah, I'm not quite sure. I think it's in the torso, because even the shoulders come up a little higher, so it must be the torso. Maybe it could even be something about the legs, but overall Crosshairs he's got a noticeable height difference. You can see it. And I haven't seen them standing next to each other all that well in the show, and there's so many different angles that you'll probably never actually see them standing that close side by side. But as far as I can tell, they're fairly close to the same size, but now you can see all the differences. They have the same arms, what looks like potentially the same legs, but and potentially the same pelvic piece, but the whole torso, the head, and the backpacks themselves are all 100% different and make them look very, very different. And actually, of course, the pauldron on the left for Crosshairs does have the wing on it, and it does look phenomenal. So this is a good look overall. Alright guys, so Crosshairs is a must buy. Just like Hunter, he is a must buy for the price point. If you're into sci-fi stuff, or you're into Star Wars, even if you're not into Star Wars, but you just like cool armored characters, this is one of the coolest guys, and it completely helps the cause to know that he's a sniper. Who doesn't want a sniper, dude? Those are some of the most badass figures that you can buy usually, and to be honest, Crosshairs falls into that category, and he has so much posability and so many looks that it's not necessarily hard to choose. It's just nice to have variety. The reality is that for the price point, I don't think you're going to be able to beat this. 20 bucks and you get something that's just, as I mentioned earlier, engineered well, has a bespoke look, good paint applications all the way through, and just the articulation. I mean, look, same as Hunter, the fact that I can get him into this position fairly easily, fairly quickly within transitions, and give him a dynamic pose like this with this much personality, this is a must buy. I think anybody that's into any kind of sci-fi stuff, this is going to be the guy for you. And if you want to do some customs, this is a good buck to start on, because you get so much posability and just so much range out of this that if you wanted to mod this out any which way you wanted to, you have a great basis for a figure. So and this one, even still, like let's say you bought this and a Hunter, right? You bought 2 of each of the buck, you still have a slightly different body. If I take everything off, all the extras, all the shoulder pads, the whatever, the body itself is still slightly different from the one before it, which again is really nice. And I wouldn't be surprised if when we get to Echo and Tech, that even they have a different body sculpt. So once we get there, we'll figure it out. But in the meantime, this is just a phenomenal figure. Do not miss out on this one, guys. If you guys can still get them in stores or get them online, BBTS, I believe, is already shipping them out. I was able to find mine. Actually, this one I found out in the wild. I forget where exactly I found it, but I got another one coming in on BBTS, and I might be selling that one. So the deal is that if you guys can find him, if you guys do see him on the shelf, he's going to have wonderful shelf presence. You're going to want to buy him, and don't miss out on this one. You're going to be pissed later a year from now when these are worth $150, $200 and you passed up on it just because you weren't sure if you're going to like the series. Doesn't matter about the series. This is a good figure. Pick it up. Alright guys, so if you guys did like this, please like, comment, subscribe, follow. Let me know how I did. Let me know if the content that I'm bringing out for you guys is what you guys want to see. If there's anything that I can change or add to it, let me know so that I can make those adjustments before I start really updating my process itself. I am looking forward to buying some new things to try to make this more, not only streamlined, but to bring the quality up itself. And it's going to be some really nice stuff coming. So again, like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned. I do have a lot more stuff. Maybe that's Sisters of Battle, maybe some other stuff that I keep showing you guys in the size comparisons, but I haven't done yet. And by all means, if you guys see something and you really want me to do it, you want that to be the next video, let me know in the comments. I'd be more than happy to help y'all out and make that video happen. Alright, TBG Mob, as usual, that was a toy review feature. I am your host, Nello, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Deuces.